Hi guys, so this is my second recording to continue with the work that I prepared for you. So now we are talking about parallel lines. So what's the meaning of parallel lines? So parallel lines are basically lines that are always the same distance from one another. Sometimes questions just ask you to form parallel lines, and in other ways questions just ask you to form certain distance of parallel lines from one another. Under normal circumstances, parallel lines can just be drawn with a ruler, and then you just have to draw a pair of parallel lines, or sometimes if they require measurements, you would mark with a ruler 2 centimeters apart, and then you will draw the line. Or sometimes we use set squares and rulers to help us draw parallel lines. But in geometrical construction chapter of Form 1 syllabus, if they ask you to draw a pair of parallel lines, you will need to do it only with a ruler and a pair of compasses as usual. So that means set squares is not an option, and you have to use your compass. So what I want to do is, now I want to show you how to construct a parallel line to line AB, and that parallel line has to be 2 centimeters away from one another. Now under normal circumstances, I'm going to show you 2 different ways. Now you know that parallel lines, actually I'm not going to show you 2 different ways, because one way takes a long time and has a lot of steps, and the other way is a much simpler way. So I think I'm just going to stick to the simpler one. So I'm going to first mark my 2 points at A and B. Okay, so I'm going to mark my 2 points. Now what I'm going to do is that I am going to first, because they want us to draw a line that's 2 centimeters away, so I'm going to mark or measure my 2 centimeter length with my ruler. So this is 2 centimeters apart. Okay, so this is 2 centimeters apart, as you can see. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to mark from A. I'm going to mark at the top, and I'm going to mark from B 2 centimeters away as well. Okay, I don't know if I have enough space for the bottom. Oh, I do, so I can mark. Usually when they ask you to draw parallel lines, you can draw 2 pairs, one at the top and one at the bottom, unless there is no space in the answer space given, or unless they ask you to only specify to only draw one. And then now what I want to do is I want to measure the distance from A to B. That's what you want to do. Okay, my compass is a bit hard, so I'm kind of shaking. Okay, alright, so this is my measurement from A to B. I've measured with the compass. So what I want to do now is from B, okay, I want to cross. But you know, you can see it doesn't meet because my line is not long enough, but that's okay, I can do it later. So I'm just going to go ahead and cross first. This one is long enough, so it's crossing each other. Now I want to go to A. Keep in mind again, I am not touching the part that has the pencil. And okay, so all my lines crossed each other except for the 2 centimeters one. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that again, 2 cm. Okay, make sure my line is 2 centimeters apart, and I'm going to go back to my point A, and I'm going to make my 2 centimeter line a bit longer. So you can see my 2 centimeters line now. I kind of made a mess here, right? You can see that it's a double line. So what I want to do is I want to gently erase. Okay, gently erase it, and make sure that my 2 centimeter is still 2 centimeters. I just have to double check first if it's 2 centimeters, and then I'm going to make this longer, so it looks like one smooth line instead of a double or a thicker line. And then now I have 2 points, 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. So all I have to do now is join the 2 points together, and that's it. One parallel line at the top, one parallel line at the bottom. Okay, and if I measure the perpendicular distances from each line, see it's 0 to 2 cm and 2 to 4 cm, so both is 2 centimeters apart, and here is also 2 centimeters apart from each other, and even here it's 2 centimeters apart from each other. So that's what we want. So these are our pair of parallel lines that's 2 centimeters apart from one another. You can label it like this. You can put here 2 cm, and then you can even label here that this is 2 centimeters. You can even label like this and say that these are your parallel lines. Okay, alright. Okay, so now we are going to construct parallel lines that passes through a certain point, right? So what we want to do is, when a parallel line is supposed to pass through a certain point, you want to make sure that you are always marking the distance from the parallel line to the point. So what I would like to do is, I'm just going to turn my paper, and I'm going to put my I've already marked my points at R and S. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put my compass on R, and I want to make my compass long enough so that I can draw a curve on the point M itself. And with that same measurement, I'm going to move my compass to S, and from S I'm going to make another curve. Okay, and then now I have a distance from R to S, a certain distance. I'm measuring my distance from R to S, and then what I want to do is, I want to go to M and I want to cross this R. That's it. Now if I draw a line from M, I can draw a parallel line that passes through point M, and these two lines are parallel to one another. And you can see that if I were to measure the distance, so this is approximately 1.2 cm, so this is also 1.2, and this is also 1.2 centimeters apart. Now the 1.2 is not a must, it just so happens that it's 1.2. The main part is that you need to make sure it passes through point M, and that's what you do. Okay, now I want to construct a parallel line to line RS. This time my point M is here, so what I'm going to do is, I'm going to mark my points at R and S, and I want to measure my distance from S to M, and I want to make sure that I draw a curve on the point, on point M, and I'm going to go to R, and I'm going to draw another curve. So I don't have enough space, but it's okay, I can go out. Okay, so I've drawn my mark. Now I'm going to measure the distance from S to R. So I'm going to make my compass a bit bigger so I can measure the distance from S to R, as you can see. So now I'm going to go to M, and I'm going to cut this point. It's not long enough, that's okay. I'm just going to go back, and I'm going to measure back again. Make sure my compass is exactly on the point, and I'm going to make this point longer. That's it. Okay, and now I have my point, which is from here to I will probably create a bigger space for you to do this in your soft copy later. So yeah, I have a parallel line. These two lines are parallel from one another. You can check if their distances are the same. This is 1.3, so here is 1.3, and it's also 1.3. So yeah, these are the ways of how you can draw parallel lines that passes through a certain point.